What's up, DAW Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Behind the DAW. In this week's episode, you have me again because by the time you're watching this, I am in the hospital with my lovely wife and my brand new baby. And so I had to record these episodes before you see them, but after the baby's born, but to show them while the baby's born, you know what I'm saying. And so this is actually part 2. Last week I released part 1 talking about the 5 must-have tools for every music producer. This week we're going to be answering your questions. You have sent in a whole bunch of questions through Discord, Instagram. There was a bunch of places I submitted the question, what questions do you want answered from me? It could be about anything, music marketing, music business, AI, whatever we want to talk about. And that is what we're going to be spending our time doing today. So before we get into that, the Schoolbase 1.5 update is live. I really went deep into what that is and why that's important in the last episode. If you didn't watch that last episode, do. But if you don't, wow, that was quite a labyrinth of words. Anyways, so if you don't know what the Schoolbase is, it is AU5's definitive masterclass. It is where he teaches you his sound design system that he has learned over the last 15 years. He's used it in over 200 songs. It is his system, his sound design system of getting an unlimited amount of sounds, rhythms, textures, blasters, basses, leads, anything that you could ever think of. It is the system to help you design your own sound for your own music. It works with everyone, no matter what your DAW is, no matter what your experience is. That is what the Schoolbase is. Now, the 1.5 update is where we updated a whole bunch of videos, added a whole bunch of videos. We recoded the site so it could support what we were doing, added descriptions and tons of downloads for each lesson. Well, not each lesson, almost every lesson, and so on and so forth. And so it's just an amazing thing. If you're part of the Schoolbase already, it's a free one. It's free country. What am I trying to say? It's a free update. It's already inside of there. All you got to do is just go log into your account over at dawnnation.net. But if you are not part of it yet, this is a great time to do it because we are prepping for Schoolbase 2.0. That's the big update that's going to be coming later on. And there's going to be a price increase with that because of just the sheer size of what the 2.0 is going to be. So make sure to go buy it now before the price goes up. So you can head on over to dawnnation.net/Schoolbase to join. Also, we have a free download this week, just like we had one last week. This one is the AU5 Heat sample packs, free sample pack. You can grab that down in the description or head on over to dawnnation.net/heat. Okay, with all that out of the way, we got questions. We got quite a few questions. We're going to get through them as fast as possible. So the first question is, Wyatt, did you get a vasectomy? No. And I wanted to. Some things came up and we had to reschedule, but the earliest that we could reschedule was October. So stay tuned for that. Why are you having any more kids? No, that's part of the first question. We are done. We are done. Capital D done. Okay. And so I don't know if I should say that. So the next question that we have is, Wyatt, do you still make music? I do not. I want to, but I do not. But Wyatt, then what is all this behind you? What do we got? It's music stuff that I have. You know, it's great visually. I may do it one day. I may get back into making music, but I just don't have time right now. In fact, fun story. Most of this is just for shows. I don't know if I can like move so it like focuses back there so you can actually see what it looks like. But like all that stuff, that's actually fake. Well, fake is probably the bad word for it. It's like not related. It's for home theaters, and some of it's just broken. Some of it's not even plugged in. And then on the other side, it's the same concept. There's some preamps on there, but I think those preamps are actually broken. It really is just so it looks cool. And then obviously, like I got MIDI controllers and stuff like that, which those are real. And there's obviously like my Apollo and stuff. And that is my secondary computer. It's my workhorse computer whenever I need to be like exporting a whole bunch of stuff. And so that's what that is back there. But do I plan on making music again? I'd love to get to a point where I could do that. Obviously, like I'm running DAW Nation right now. Like, I mentioned this in my last episode. When do I have the time? Which is funny because that relates to a question that I have over here. But when do I have the time? I'm spending 40 to 60 hours per week on DAW Nation stuff. I currently have, a boatload of kids, and I'm about to have another one. And, it's just when. So would I love to? I would love to. And in the future, I would love to be able to do that just from the things that I've learned, from all the perspectives that I've learned, the different systems I've learned. It's like, I've kind of been in this really privileged space where I can just sit here and learn from the greatest, from people like AU5 and Crywolf and Matthew Steeper and KJ Saka, learn all of their really intimately learn their systems and how they work. And so I could apply that, I'm like, because I've edited the courses and all that, like I know these systems probably better than anyone else besides obviously like the people who created them. It'd be amazing to see what I could do with that. And also like just from the amount of marketing and stuff that I've learned, what could I do with music at that point? I don't know. That's a great question. It's a great question. I just, if, in order for DAW Nation to keep going, I don't see how it can work out right now, which really sucks because I love making music. I'm a creator, I'm an artist. And so that's a hard thing to put to the side right now, but it's where we are. That is where we are. All right, next question we have is more content. This is from Modus. He's coming on the show soon, so stay tuned for that. More content equals better. Do you think hype through scarcity is still a valid strategy in 2025? So this brings up an age-old question. So this is a marketing question, right? When you are creating content and you are pushing it out there, that is marketing. You are creating a piece of content, doesn't matter if it's a song, music video, a reel, a photo, a tutorial, or whatever. You are pushing it out there and you are hoping people see it. That is marketing. That is what marketing is. You are putting something out there and hoping people partake of it, right? So this is an age-old marketing question. More quality, less quantity, or more quantity, less quality, right? It'd be wonderful if we could put out if we could have our cake and eat it too, if we could put out an enormous amount of quantity, just tons and tons of content at the highest quality. Most of the time, there has to be some kind of compromise, right? It's a spectrum, and you kind of have to figure out are you going to land on that spectrum with this, right? Yes, you could work on one song for the rest of your life, making it the highest quality absolutely possible. But then you're going to miss out on a whole bunch of other things that you could have created, right? And so what the question that Modus is asking is basically that, right? Is it better to create a whole bunch of content? Is it better to lean more to the quantity side, or is it better to lean more to the quality side? So my take on this is that if you're asking from an artistic standpoint, you're going to get a different answer. If you're asking from a business standpoint, you're going to get a different answer, because the artistic standpoint obviously is don't put anything out that isn't finished. Don't cut corners. Make sure that something is created to the quality that it needs to be, that your heart and your soul are calling out for. That's the artist answer, and that's a totally valid answer. The business side is let's crank stuff out. Like, it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be out, right? And so that leans more on the side of quantity. And so if you're asking, so it really just depends on which hat I'm wearing here. So if you're asking, does more content equal better artistic fulfillment? I think that all of us would pretty much universally answer no. I would say that, it'd be better to slow down and create the things intentionally that you want to. So quantity is still very important, but at that point, I would say that the quality is the vastly more important object in that endeavor. However, if you're putting on the business aspect, the marketing aspect, if you want more and more people to find out about you want people to come to your shows, you want more streams, you want to keep up with the incredibly fast-paced social media climate that exists right now, then I would say that quantity is going to take more of a precedence at that point. However, my suggestion, if you're looking for a real-time application of what I just talked about, while still honoring the quality but increasing the quality, I talked about this in the last episode of you finding out basically a content release plan for your songs. So you just to remind everybody, it is to do a case study and find out all the ways that you possibly can how people are leveraging social media to promote their songs. You'd find people like Connor Price. There's the one dude, I didn't mention this in the last episode. This dude is wild. He's totally a meme, but it still paints a really good picture. There's the guy, he made a meme song all about eating poop. And the dude has been just relentlessly creating content around that. And even though I hate the song, it's just remarkable to see this guy is, he's taking one song and he's making tons of different pieces of content to promote that one song. And so ultimately that's what I'm talking about is you release a song and it's not just like you release a song and then you make a post about it and then there's nothing else that you can do. There are so many different pieces of content, different types of content that you can make to continually promote that song, because every single time you put out a song, every single time you put out a piece of content on social media, it will be exposed to a new audience. Obviously, there is going to be crossover. There's people that obviously know who you are that has seen your content before, but there will always, always, always be a percentage of people that see that have never heard of you, that have never seen your stuff. And so the idea is the more content that you put out, the more you're going to be exposed to more people who know nothing about you, right? And so in that case, if you're looking for a strategy to keep up with quantity, make the song as high quality as possible. That's my advice. Make the song as high quality as possible. To the point where you're like, yes, this isn't perfect, because nothing is perfect, but this is a very genuine, high quality representation of my soul in this music. I would get there first. And then the content to promote it, that is where I'd be like you don't have to have the highest quality content. In fact, the higher quality content that you have to market it, most people just skip over anyways. Like it's truly frustrating to see like some of these pieces of content that we've dumped hundreds, sometimes thousands of hours into, not hours, sorry, dollars into, and dozens and dozens of hours, and they just flop. And it's really frustrating to see the really crappy pieces of content like just shoot through the roof. Like that's just bonkers to me. I really wish there was a correlation between the quality and the amount of views or the amount of followers or whatever. I really do wish that would be super easy, because it's like, okay, no problem, just work really hard and you get followers. But that's not the case, and that really, really sucks. But it is what it is. So I think that is maybe the closest to a compromise that you can get to. Make the music that you want to make. Make it really high quality, and then lean more on quantity with the marketing of it rather than the quality, right? And you can find a whole bunch of different strategies to do that. You can find people, like I mentioned in the last episode, they have the little visualizers and they're like pumping their fists and they're like singing along to their songs in front of their DAW. That's totally legit. There are the other people that, go and interview like, hey, do you, they have their phone out like this, and they're like, hey, do you if I gave you a song that sounded like Millennium and Corn mixed together, would that be cool? And like, oh yeah, I love that. All right, well, check this out. And they listen to the people freak out, and that's a cool piece of content too. You could totally do that. There's a whole bunch of them. I would make a list, and I'd find the ones that you can consistently do, that resonate with you, that you don't have to fake, that you don't have to pretend that you like, but you're just doing it for the views. Do that, and then that way you can just make a whole bunch of promotional content for one song at a time, and that's just your system. That's your system. When I release a song, I gotta make these 20 pieces of content, and you make them, promote your song, you move on to the next song, create the content, move on. But I would do it as systematically as possible. The worst feeling in the world, and I know this, like you that are listening right now, totally feel this. One of the worst feelings in the world is when you finish something, you've put so much effort and time into finishing something, and then you're like, now what? What am I supposed to do? And you feel like you're flying by the seat of your pants. You're like, I don't know. Am I supposed to post 3 stories a day? Do stories even work? What happens if I post, what should I post on Instagram? Should I post the same thing I post on Instagram on TikTok? And so to be able to have a system, some type of marketing system that is consistent, that you use every single time that you release, and that you revise over time, of course. You find out things as you release. It doesn't really matter if I post there, or I can consolidate this into one thing, whatever. So you can revise it over time. But the idea is that you have that system that you release, like the bones of it is the same every single time, and then you make little adjustments along the way to make it more refined and more optimized. And so I really hope that answers your question, Modus, because that's how I see things now. I mean, there's just an ungodly amount of content that is being released every single day, both long form, short form. On social media specifically, to get people's attention, it has to be short form. And you are going toe to toe with with, I mean, just an insane amount of content that's coming out every single day. And so to even keep up with that, you yourself have to put out a solid amount of content. And so how do you do that? That's up to you. You know, I recommended Opus Pro in my last episode that I filmed. That's allowed me specifically with podcasts in order to like get a whole bunch of content that I can put out pretty regularly. You know, if maybe you're watching a short of this right now, or a clip of this right now that I created through Opus. And so that's just, you know, my advice as a real life application. Next question we have is, what is a marketing strategy you wish more people did? And then the inverse of that question is, what is a marketing strategy that I wish more people didn't do? And oh, I'm going to go in on this one. I have feelings. I have pent up feelings on this one. So congratulations. You have unleashed. You have unlocked the final boss. Marketing strategies that I wish more people did. So I do full-heartedly endorse what I said in last episode and what I just said before. I wish people would go and do a case study, find as many different ways to market your music as possible, find out what other people are doing to market their ways, and then basically make a giant, like a spreadsheet or something that you can keep track of it and see every single way that people are marketing their music, as well as, you know, when you find new ways that people are marketing music, you can bring it back to this resource that you can see, and have some kind of systematic approach to marketing your music that way. That's true. I wholeheartedly support that. That is still a little too zoomed in. If we zoom out a little bit more, what is a marketing strategy that I wish more people did? That's easy. It's funnels. So this, and I understand this is going to make a whole bunch of people just like squirm, be like, gross, no. But if you're talking about business psychology, if you're talking about human psychology, I have yet to be given any other persuasive argument that funnels are still not the best. And so for those who don't know what that is, what that means is that you have a system for bringing people into your world, usually through some kind of like ad or going on other people's, collabing with other people or whatever. That's zoomed in a little bit too much. Zooming back out. You have a way to consistently bring in traffic into your world. Then the funnel is the thing that captures that audience once they get into your world. And it allows, the funnel is this hyper optimized concept, this hyper optimized workflow to convince people why they should be a part of your world, why they should listen to your music, why they should buy whatever, right? Obviously we use it for our courses and other things that we have. And then at the end, it creates a very fertile ground for either paying customers, super fans, so on and so forth, right? There are a lot of different ways to do that, and I don't know if I want to get into necessarily specifics right now, but I wish I saw it more. I really did. And I know a lot of people are against that because, well, number one, I know there's still a lot of misconceptions about marketing and squeamish, used car salesman, gross, scammy, so on and so forth. None of that has to happen with a funnel. That's, I understand that there's a lot of bad taste in the mouth because of ways people have applied funnels in the past, but that doesn't have to happen. It can be very, very authentic. It can be very, fitted to your personality, to your music, so on and so forth. But what I was trying to say was the psychology of a funnel and the rationality of it. I have not found anything better. You have a consistent traffic source. You have a consistent way of getting new people to find out about you. Then you have a system in place so that when that traffic source comes into your world, you are showing that traffic source why they should stick around, why you are valuable to them, why they are going to, their life is going to get better by sticking around and partaking of whatever you're giving them, songs, shows, whatever. And then at the end, you can see the statistics. You can see the numbers. I spent this much money and made this much money back or got this many fans. What just happened? Did that get recorded? That was amazing. I don't know if that came through or not. That's crazy. There's a whole bunch of fireworks that just came on the thing. Anyways, on the screen. Anyways, so but it allows for statistics. And when you're talking about a business, all right, you're not talking about art at this point. You're talking about a business. Statistics are like by far, analytics are the lifeblood of what you have. And so to have something like a funnel to say, I spent this much money and made this much money back, or booked this many shows, or got this many people to come to my shows, or gained this many Spotify followers, or Spotify streams, whatever, to be able to have that, you have a business at that point. Because then you can say, if I spent this much money and this happened, or if I got this much traffic and this happened, well, then if I increase this traffic, then this can happen. Or if I spend this much money, then this much more can happen, or whatever, right? That's a business. A business is not, I don't know, it's just up to the algorithm gods, and I'm just going to hopefully put this song out and hopefully it works. That's not a business. You know, that you cannot have a sustainable business when you're talking like that. And I know that's been an ideology that the vast majority of the music business industry has incorporated, and it just floors me because that doesn't exist anywhere else, because it can't. It's so mind-boggling. Anyways, so if you want the strategy that I wish more people would do, it's a funnel. It requires more work. It requires more thought. It requires you to have a very well thought out, very well executed brand that can exist outside of just the music, right? That stands for something more than just the music, so that you can have something to say or sell or promote inside of that funnel to get people to stick around. A person, I've brought this up before, a person who does this really, really well is Connor Price. I will endlessly promote him because his marketing is genius. He has a funnel. He has ways to get an insane amount of traffic. And then he knows what to do with that traffic once it's there. It's incredible. And from there, you can sell shows, you can sell albums, you can sell physical albums. Another person who does this really, really well, regardless if you agree with his strategy or the type of songs that he makes or his politics, is Tom McDonald. Tom McDonald I should probably bring up Tom McDonald as the poster child for what I'm talking about as far as strategy. I mean, the dude makes an ungodly amount of money just selling CDs to his fans. CDs in 2025, which is crazy. But he's independent. He has ways to bring in an insane amount of traffic. And then with that traffic, he knows exactly what to do to inside of his funnel to get them to either come to his shows or buy merch or live streams or whatever. Like, you know, he sells a whole bunch of different stuff, but like he does it, and he does it really freaking well. And so that would be the thing that I wish more people would do. I've expressed this in many different podcasts before, and I will always stick to my guns about this. The music industry, the business tactics inside the music industry, whether it's, you know, just business fundamentals or marketing, whatever you want to say, it never ceases to amaze me how broken it is. It's just extraordinary. It is truly, truly extraordinary. That's not just my words. Again, I mentioned this many times. I got lots of business friends outside of the music industry. My own mother is a friggin' business tycoon. You know, I talk to them endlessly about this, and they just scratch their heads and they're like, I can't believe the music industry is still around. Like, that's crazy. But anyways, that's what I wish they would do. Now, what I wish people wouldn't do. How's the question worded? What's a marketing strategy you wish more people didn't do? Okay. Please listen to me. Please listen to me when I say this. If you forget everything else in this episode, this is the number one thing I want you to remember. To stop doing this, to never even contemplate doing it again. It is so annoying. It is so hurtful to your brand. It immediately, anyone who even remotely has a well-established music career will just like gag if you do this, but it just astounds me that this tactic is still there. Do not, under any circumstance, message people and say something to the extent of, hey, how's it going? It's been a while. Anyways, I just released a new song. Here's a link. I would love any support. Thanks, bro. Stop it. 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 It is horribly ineffective. It is gross. It feels like an MLM. Like it feels it feels like you are just trying to take advantage of people listening to your music. You're trying to, you're putting on the veneer that you care about them. Hey, how's it going? You're putting on that veneer that you're a friend. But then you immediately ask someone something that is just, it's so gross. It's so ineffective. It totally damages careers and relationships. I wish people would stop doing that. That is, oh gosh, it's whenever I get one of those messages, and I get them fairly frequently on Instagram or Facebook Messenger, just like, please stop it. Knock it off. Knock it off. And so, yeah, don't do that. Any other ones that I would recommend? Oh yeah, this one I'm not as critical about. I'm not as serious about. Like, it doesn't bother me nearly as much. The other one that really does need to stop is the song gets released. You post the I shouldn't say you. I'm not specifically talking to you. Somebody releases a song, and then somebody posts, that same somebody posts the album art and says, I just released blah, blah, blah. That is terrible marketing. That is terrible, terrible marketing. The act of marketing is trying to convince someone why something is valuable to them. And so, like, if I tell you right now, hey, I just repainted my cabinets, that's no value to you at all. That's just useless information to you, right? And so that doesn't help you in any way. That doesn't make your life better. That doesn't take any pain away from you for me to acknowledge something that I just created, new cabinets. That doesn't help out at all. However, a slight repositioning, remarketing of you putting out a new song can show people how it's valuable to them. Hey, if you've ever struggled with heartbreak and you don't know how to get over it, this song is for you. Hey, if you've been looking for, if you're like me and you've struggled for years finding a sick trap banger at 120 BPM, here's something for you. I know that's kind of a silly example, but like, hey, if you find yourself, how do I say this? Hey, if you need a song to stare at the stars to when you are feeling somber, this song is for you, like something like that. And obviously there's a million different ways to do that, but it shows that you are positioning to them how it could be valuable to them, how it can help them, how they could enjoy it. Otherwise it's just information. It drives me crazy when I drive, like, for example, when we were living on the other side of St. George, there's an Albertsons over there. And there was a sign on there for years. It said, it should be the grand reopening, but it said the grand opening. Drove me nuts. Anyways, it was the grand opening of Albertsons. Why do I care? Why, like, what does that mean? That mean I can walk in now? I could walk in before. Like, what do you mean? Or if you see signs like on restaurants, it's like under new management. Like, who cares? I don't care. That is not value. Like, how is that value to me? Are you better than the last one? Is food cheaper? Is food better? Like, what does that mean? Anytime that you put out any type of information and it requires someone to exert even a moderate amount of brain calories to figure out why that thing is valuable to them, they're just going to move on. It's just going to move on. Here's a great example. How many times have you been scrolling through Reels or YouTube Shorts or TikToks, and you couldn't figure out the video that popped up, why it was valuable to you, and so you just skipped? Right? Notice this next time that when you're scrolling through videos, just notice that. Why are you skipping so fast? It's because you can't see the value in it. You can't see if it's funny. You can't see if it's giving you relationship advice or money advice or whatever your particular algorithm feeds you, right? If someone's rambling on, you don't really know. But the reason why, if you're getting down to a psychological stance of it, is because you can't. You are being forced to exert way too many brain calories to figure out why that thing is valuable to you. And so if you just want like a simple little hack just to make your marketing of a song or whatever just a little bit better, try that out. Try a value positioned marketing strategy. This song will help you with blah, blah, blah. This song is meant for the blah, blah, blah. This song, if you ever struggle with blah, 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 this song is for you. Like, word it however you want to. If you've been looking for fantasy dubstep, this song's for you. Finally I found, you can even make a cute little story out of it. It is so hot in here, by the way. We have a high of let's see, of 109 today. That's fun. That's something I wish they would do. So the first thing that I wish people would do more is a funnel. I really wish they would do that more. I really, really do. I get a lot of pushback from that. I get it. It's hard. It requires a lot of thought. It requires a lot of testing. I get it. I still have not found anything that works as well with human psychology as a funnel. I just haven't found anything like that. And then the two things that I really wish people would stop doing: stop messaging people unsolicitedly. Stop doing that. Putting on the veneer that you're friends and then asking them to listen to your songs. And then the other thing that you need to stop doing is just stop like, hey, I put out a new song. I just released this. I just announced my tour. Like, show us where the value, why is that valuable to us? Why should we care? Why is that going to help me? Why is my life going to be better because I'm listening to your song? You see what I'm saying? So yeah, it is so hot. Oh my gosh, it is so hot. It is so hot in here. I have a door over there that I don't think I can move the camera. That sucks. I have a door over there that I have acoustically treated, but there's this little hole. So when the air conditioning on, just does that. And so I can't have the air on until I fix that stupid little hole, which is why it's so friggin' hot in here. Anyways, okay. Are you ever growing your hair back? No. You want to see my bald head? There you go. My bald, sweaty head. Oh my gosh, it is so hot in here. People say I look like Kratos. And that I say, I think Kratos looks like me. Did you get the Nintendo Switch 2? Heck yeah, I did. Was it worth it? I don't know, probably. It's got one game right now. It's Mario Kart. So unless you have like a backlog, I really wouldn't recommend it right now. Like there's not like a huge pressure, or you're like a huge Mario Kart fan. There's not much you're going to do with it, you know? And so it's still really cool. It's really cool to see the updates with Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and all that. It's really cool. But I mean, it's sick. Is it better than the Steam Deck? I don't know. I love the Steam Deck. I think the Steam Deck is really, really cool. All right, next question we got. Wow, this is a really personal question, but the question is, where are you at? You know, what this question is referring to is in my comeback episode that I did a couple months ago. I mentioned that I'm in one of the deepest faith crises of my life, and so this question asks, where are you at with that? Where am I at with my faith crisis? I mean, you guys asked it. I mean, that's not where I was planning to go. So I'm just going to bring it up now. And let me just say, if there's anyone that's listening right now that has had a faith crisis or is currently in one, and I'm not just talking about specifically like with my religion that I'm in, I'm just talking about in general with anything. You know, everyone goes through this. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian or Muslim or Jewish or atheist or Wiccan or whatever, right? Eventually, somehow, some way, all of us go through some kind of faith crisis, and we have to take a step back and be like, do I still believe what I have believed? Am I allowing new evidence to come in to either reinforce what I believe or change what I believe, right? And that causes a huge, and it's not just with religion. You know, you could have that feeling with governments. You can have that, you know, with the structure of your family. You can have that with your job. Like that kind of like crisis that comes in that shakes up the foundation that forces you to adapt the paradigm, the rules of logic that you've been living in. That's going to come for all of us. And so hopefully, you know, what I'm about to tell you can help you out. This is, again, I'm going to say this as universally as possible so that you can take this knowledge and apply it to whatever you want in any way that you want, whatever corridor of life you want to walk down with this. But it is going to be phrased in the concept of religion and faith and so on and so forth. And so hopefully that doesn't make you feel uncomfortable. You do not need to agree with me by whatsoever thing or by whatsoever category you want to. But so where am I with it? To answer that question, you need to understand the stages of faith. And really, this should be called the stages of learning because it's not just about faith. There are a lot of different models. Some are 4 stages, some are 12 stages. There's the Fowler model. There's the Bruce and Marie Hafen model. There's the M. Scott Peck model. There's a lot of different models. I've kind of created Wyatt's model, which is really just watering down and simplifying all those models into Wyatt's words. So don't think I came up with this. This is just me taking the concepts, the common denominators of what other people have said, and me putting it into Wyatt's words, okay? So there are 3 different stages. There's simplicity, complexity, and harmony. The simplistic stage is the very black and white stage. You see things as black and white. It is this or it is this, right? Perhaps I went through this with music for a long time when I was growing up. I didn't like anything except hip hop. I saw things as black and white. If it was hip hop, it was good. If it was not hip hop, it was bad. And so I stuck with that for a long time. My sister would listen to, not pop, because that's hip hop, pop punk. And I was like, well, is it hip hop? No, then it sucks. And so I wouldn't do it. Like everything was so incredibly black and white. And then I got older and I was like, wait, not all hip hop is good. There's a lot of hip hop that I hate. And if I'm being honest, there's some other categories that I like. And so that kind of put me into this very, gray area. And it's like, what does that mean? Was I wrong the entire time? Do I need to stick to my guns? Should I neglect listening to this other music in order to keep myself, to keep this essence of myself that is just loving hip hop? And you're in this gray area, and it's this tension. You don't know. You don't know what's right or wrong. And then eventually you get to a stage 3, which is a harmony, which is you realize you come to a place where you can see the good and the bad. It can be both. It can be both and, right? I like hip hop and I like country. I like dubstep and I like house. You can get to a point where you say both, right? You enter into this stage 3 learning, stage 3 life, where you can see the good and the bad. You can like this and this. You can feel this way and you can feel this way. It's not you feel this way or you feel this way, right? And so we do this all the time. So for those that grew up in a religious system, it is very, very normal to grow up in a black and white stance. Our religion is good. All other religions are bad. Ours is the one true religion. All the other religions are not, right? Anything that promotes our religion is good. Everything that does not promote our religion is bad. And it's in that black and white. And some people stay in that black and white stage forever. And, this doesn't just apply to people that are theists. This can totally apply to people that are atheists, right? People who don't believe in God are good. People who do believe in God are bad. Eventually, you will discover some type of information that challenges that you are no longer... The stage of faith, the black and white stage of faith, no longer allows you to handle the information that's coming at you. You are wholly, that stage of faith, that stage of knowledge is wholly insufficient to dealing with the information that comes, right? Wait, there's bad things that have happened in my religion and there are good things that have happened in other religions? When you come to that, that's really, really hard. There are really great people that believe in God, and there are some very bad people that don't believe in God. That challenges your assumptions, right? It challenges the things that and you can no longer just exist in that black and white stance because there's a bunch of gray. You have now entered stage 2 complexity, and it requires you to think more. And stage 2 is really painful. It's really painful because there's so much dissonance. There's so much challenging of what you thought you knew. And the goal is to get into stage 3, to be able to see in color. You see the black and white, you see the gray, you see the color, you see the good here, you see the bad there, and it's okay. You can sit with that complexity. You realize there's good and bad in everything. There's truth and falsehoods in everything. There's no just everything is good, everything is bad. It becomes that. And then what do you do with that information? And that's really, really hard, especially in certain religious systems that are very afraid of you leaving stage 1. I would say most religious systems are terrified of you leaving stage 1 because that would require you, by definition, the rules of the game is that if you leave stage 1, you then have to look at your institution, your religion of choice, and see both the good and the bad. And most systems of faith don't want you to do that. And so they will try to stuff you back into stage 1. And say, no, everything's good, everything's good, everything's good. It's fine, just stuff you back into stage 1. But the thing is, you can't go back to stage 1. Once you have left stage 1, and many of you may be familiar with the allegory of the cave. Once you leave the cave, once you leave stage 1, you can't go back. You can't pretend like you don't know things, right? You can't do that. And, it's the equivalent of that for someone to be in stage 2 and to be asked to go back in stage 1. is the equivalent of, yes, I know your wife cheated on you and I'm sorry for that. That really, really sucks. But I really need you to just go back to feeling the same way that you felt when you were dating. Just pretend it didn't happen. Force yourself into feeling a different way and just pretend that they never cheated on you. Like, that's impossible. It's the equivalent of saying, I know it really hurts that your child died, but I really need you to just go back to feeling the way that you felt before he died. It's like, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. You cannot ask people to do that. It's cruel to ask people to do that. And it is cruel to ask people to move from stage 2 back into stage 1. I know this really has nothing to do with music, but I guess it could. But you guys asked, so here it is. And this is just something I've learned that is super important about life and stuff. And so the only way forward is to move into stage 3. That is the only way. The only way is to move forward into stage. Well, that's not true. What actually happens, specifically in my religion, a lot of people will move into stage 2, and then they'll be confronted with that. They actually don't know there's a stage 3. They feel all this dissonance. They're seeing all these really yucky, uncomfortable things about our past, about our religious history, and then they see 2 options. One, leave the religion altogether and just say screw it, it was all bad, or force themselves back into stage 1, which they can't. They can't stay. And so that's why it becomes a crisis. That's why it's a crisis, because they feel like they have to force themselves back into like forgetting what they've seen, what they've learned, or leave this religion that they love behind and they just throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I'm not here to judge anyone's road with that. But what I'm saying is that there's a stage 3, which is you can look at the good and the bad. You can admit where faults and bad things have happened, and you can admit where the good things have happened as well. And by doing that, you can stare at the truth right in the face and make an informed decision whether you want to stay, leave, change, do whatever you want to with that. So that's where am I at with my faith crisis? I'm in stage 2. I am trying my hardest to get into stage 3. And I try very hard to say things and to make decisions based off stage 3. But it's really hard. And I don't know what to do about that. And, there's a lot of really complicated conversations I've had and tried to figure out. And, that's where I'm at right now. So thanks for asking. I don't know if you want to hear all that. So there we go. How do you manage? Okay, next question we got is, how do you manage having so many kids and running DAW Nation? I don't. I really don't. I don't know what I'm doing. I kind of say that, jokingly, but at the same time, that's kind of true. It's, if I'm being honest, I was given this analogy a long time ago, and I have yet to find anything that describes the entrepreneurial life better. Not just the entrepreneurial life, but just work-family balance. I've not found anything else that portrays what I'm about to say better. And so imagine, if you will, all of the core, most important things in your life: your family, your health, your beliefs, your job, your music, your whatever you have, right? Each thing that is super important to you. Imagine that it's a ball and you are juggling all of the balls, okay? The concept is that some balls are made of glass and some balls are made of rubber. And there inevitably will come times in your life when you have to choose, because you're juggling so much, that one of the balls falls to the floor and then you're going to have to pick it back up. The concept is, know which ones are glass and never, ever, ever, ever let them fall. Because if they fall, it's a whole lot harder to get down there and pick up all the pieces and put it back together, so on and so forth. Some of them may never be able to put back together. But that's a whole lot harder than dropping one of the rubber balls that probably will just bounce and then you can catch it when it comes back up. A great example of this, my things that I'm juggling that would be considered glass is my family and my children and my wife, and my relationships with them. Like, that is non-negotiable. Like, that I will not drop them. If I have to drop anything, I will drop something else. I will not drop my family. And so this happened both when my wife was pregnant with our fourth child, our second son, Atreus, when she was pregnant with him. and she was super, super sick, had hyperemesis, right on the edge of death. And so I had a choice at that point. I was juggling a whole bunch of stuff, especially with DAW Nation. It's like the ball that I would have to drop with DAW Nation is keeping up with release schedules, doing certain things, or I could drop the ball with my wife and say, screw you, Kylie, you got to figure this out. And they're like, in no universe and no multiverse and no way possible, fathomable way possible could I do that to Kylie or my family. And so I dropped DAW Nation. I did not stop with DAW Nation. I didn't quit DAW Nation. I just had to seriously slow down a lot of things. And that's fine because DAW Nation bounced right back up when I was done with that. It just came right back up and everything was fine. Same thing happened when she's been pregnant with this last pregnancy. She got sick really, really sick again at the end of last year. And I already knew it's like, I'm not going to drop Kylie. I'm not going to drop my kids. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sacrifice that. And so I let DAW Nation drop again, and we had to push back release dates, and that made some people really upset. And I get it. I totally get it. And but I wasn't gonna. I can't compromise on that. That's one of my glass balls that I am juggling. And so I guess in summary, how do you balance work-life stuff? I mean, the short, easy answer is have a schedule, right? Have goals and you have goals, and then you create a schedule around those goals. And even if you only work on it a little bit at a time, at least it's moving forward, right? That's the short and easy answer. If you're looking much more of like an ideology to hold on to, it's that you are juggling a whole bunch of things. You need to know which ones are glass and which ones are rubber, so that if they drop, it's okay. You can pick it back up. And even with that, I mean, to take that analogy even farther, there are some things that are glass that if you do drop, like they're just ruined. But not all the glass things that you're juggling are equal, right? There are some relationships that if I drop, they shatter. But if it came, like toe to toe, like you can either shatter this relationship with someone, or you can shatter, the relationship with your family. Like, dude, I'm chucking that thing. I'm throwing it, shooting it with a shotgun. Like I'll blow that thing up all day long. I will not drop the family ball. Like, I will not do that. Like, over my dead body, I will burn DAW Nation to the ground before I go back on my family and drop that ball. Like, that is so opposite of who I am and what I stand for. So no. Anyways, so hopefully that could come in and be like, okay, what are your glass things that you're juggling? What are those things for you, right? Is it your health? Is your music one of them? Is it relationships? That's only questions, or those are only answers that you can come up with. I can't come up with that for you. All right, next question is, how hot is it in St. George? I think I mentioned this earlier. I think I did that. Let's see what it is 106 right now with a high of 109. Oh, what am I doing? What's the high for this week? 109 is the high for this week. That's crazy. I know there's some people that listen to this right now that are in Vegas or Phoenix, and they're like, that sounds nice. That's, light jacket weather. I'm like, okay, it sounds good. Anyways, I love St. George. It's great. I love living in the desert. I love desert flora and fauna, and anyways, so it's great. It's fantastic. All right, the next question, maybe this will be the final question, I'm not sure, but with AI taking over everything like graphic designers and video editors and now into music production, do you fear for the future of DAW Nation because you guys rely so much on music production education? That is a great question that kept me up for many nights trying to figure that out, right? If of these different softwares come out with music production, and primarily what we are doing is teaching people how to produce music. So if that's taken over by AI, is there going to be a future for DAW Nation? And I had to step back and I really had to look at that. And I had to say, and I think this is wise for everyone to do when it comes to AI. And I think this is just going to echo a lot of the things that we said inside of the Underbelly AI episode, as well as in the more Kismet episode. But the overarching concept, the overarching thing is that, what do you stand for? Like, why are you in this? Why, if it is a shallow end answer, then how do I say this? If it's a shallow end answer, then of course something like an AI or someone that just comes along and does it better than you is just going to throw you out of the water. Like you're done. Like there's nothing there. You didn't even have two legs to stand on. You had like one leg, maybe sometimes. And so for DAW Nation, our whole goal is to help music producers, singer-songwriters, anyone like that, to learn how to convey their souls through music, how to learn the skill of to take the things in your mind and your heart and convey that into music. That's the big thing that's the big goal that we meet. And the second goal that we meet is once you have done that, how do you get it out to the people that deserve to hear that? Those are the two goals. And for me, after kind of stepping back and realizing that, is that there's no way that AI can take that away. There's no way that AI can take that away because, yes, I could foresee a future where we start relying on AI more and more and more and more. But then we are going to be here on the ground testing those things. How do we use AI to create more and better? How do we use AI to put it out to the people who really deserve to hear this? Right? How do we do that? And that's what DAW Nation is, right? That's really what it is at the core. So no, I'm really not worried about it. I'm really, really not worried about it. So there's that. It's time to be done. It is so hot. It is so freaking hot in here. I wish I had a list of people that were coming on in future episodes, but hopefully these answers helped you. I know a lot of it was personal stuff that I'm going through, but hopefully you were able to find answers to it. If it did, let me know. If it didn't, let me know. Make sure to subscribe on whatever podcast platform that you are listening on, Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, whatever podcast app that you're on. Leave comments, please. Tag me on Instagram stories. Let me know what really helped you. Make sure to check out the School Base and the 1.5 update. You can see the sweat just running down my face. It's so freaking hot in here. Make sure to get the free download, the heat sample pack down in the description from AU5. DAW Nation, thank you so much. Again, if you want to send a very kind message saying, congratulations, Wyatt, you got a new baby, that'd be awesome. Because as of watching this right now, I'm in the hospital with my baby or I'm at home. And I would love one of those messages. So anyways, love you guys. See you later. I don't know how to end these things. Is that a good way? That might be a good way. I don't know.